Hello there, Watson here, and I'm back with another review. So, recently I have been playing the Grandia HD Remaster. I've only done the first game so far. I've not done the second game. I'm going to do the second game like way down the line, but I've done the first game, so let's talk about it. So, Grandia was originally on the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn, I believe. Not 100% certain. It was definitely on the PlayStation. And it's by the same team that made Lunar. So the Lunar team came back and did the Grandia as well. And you can really see the ideas that came through with Lunar sort of expanded on with Grandia. First off, the story was phenomenal. I enjoyed the story from start to finish. It's very much a coming of age story, I guess. I know a lot of people use that, but that's generally what it is. It follows Justin and his journey to become an adventurer, and it's very much him throughout the game, sort of growing up, becoming a man, and then sort of the end of the game sort of then goes into, well, you're the chosen one, so you kind of need to save the world. There's a big threat, but generally throughout most of the game it's about him growing up and taking on more responsibilities and stuff like that, and just going out there and adventuring and beating the world and not giving in. And it has lots of really good positive sort of ideas that come through about what life should be and whatnot. The music was fine. I know a lot of people really rate the music. Some of the battle music was alright. It's difficult with the music because although I am paying attention to it, I'm kind of also more focused on the story than the music. It's just how I've really been, but the music's okay. It didn't annoy me, which is good. Which is normally what I base it on, is whether the music actually was bad enough to annoy me, which some games it does that. The combat system as well, and you can really see that it's an improvement on Lunar's. Lunar's was kind of this 2D sort of turn-based game, and the characters moved towards the enemies to attack and stuff, and if they were too far they didn't quite reach the enemy and all that. And Grandia improves on that by making it into 3D, so you can kind of see a top-down-ish view of what's going on, and then there's much more involvement with magic and stuff like that. You learn magic throughout the game by finding mana eggs and then teaching one of the 4 different elements from that mana egg to each of the characters. And then as you use weapons or magic during battle, they level up, and then as they level up, they then learn more magic and abilities and stuff like that, which was a really cool way of doing it. I quite enjoyed using different magics and stuff during battles to level them up, so that it made the battles not quite as stale. Because obviously sometimes with these turn-based RPGs, you just mash a button and get the battles done as quick as possible. So swapping up weapons and swapping up magic to defeat enemies because you get more experience for those particular things, was quite fun. It was quite an interesting way to do the mechanics and stuff. The biggest gripe that I had with Grandia was the camera was very much like a relic of the time. You can kind of tell that it's that sort of early 90s sort of, we don't quite know what to do with our camera for our 3D game yet. So it's kind of janky. There were various bits where, because the environments were also 3D, because you could move the camera around, it was kind of, you miss stuff, and the way that the camera angle was set, it kind of hid quite a lot of the level in some places, or you couldn't quite tell that it was like different levels of elevation. The ghost ship in particular, like, kind of did that because there was quite a lot of levels to it, but at the same time it was kind of a small space, so it kind of made it a bit difficult to actually navigate. But in all, I enjoyed my time playing Grandia. I kind of wish I'd have got through it a little bit quicker than I did. The actual save file on the system came to like 110 hours, which was like nowhere near the amount of hours that I actually put into it. There were quite a few times when I put it on to play and kind of ended up doing other stuff and then only getting like an hour's gameplay out of it. That's on me. The Let's Play that I've done, which will go live like next year, just because of the way that I've done the Let's Plays now, is 43 episodes long, so it's about 40 hours ish, which is a good length for an RPG. It's not overly long and it's not overly short. The good thing about Grandia was it kind of, if I'd have played it properly and not just like left it to run and built up all that time, it just generally lets you just play through the game. There's not any side quests you need to do. You don't need to go and play like a card game for 5 hours, or there's no trade sequence where you need to get an item from one place and go to another, or that sort of stuff. It's all very much, this is the story, you're going to play through it. There were 3 areas that you could go to that were extra areas that you didn't have to do. I did them because they were related to the achievements, which I'll talk about in a moment. But these 3 areas, 2 of them were really easy anyway, and one of them was annoying as heck to get through, which again I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, that's generally Grandia in a nutshell. So I'm going to go over the achievements now. It will only be the 1,000 points for Grandia. It won't be the full completion because Grandia 1 and 2 are together in the same list. I guess if it was a PlayStation title, I would have the Platinum for Grandia, and Grandia 2 would be a different list. It's something that Microsoft need to work on with their achievement list. It's like, at this point, it's nearly 20 years old, so, you know. But yeah, let's talk about the achievements for Grandia. Okay, so as you can see, there are other achievements that I've not unlocked, and they are for Grandia 2 rather than Grandia. So we're just going to go over the Grandia achievements. So, starting off with Besties, Sewers join the party. That is a story-related achievement. Overdue booty, get your allowance from Mom. You have to talk to your mom a couple of times and she gives you like 1 gold piece. Yeah, it's as it is. That's quite early on in the game anyway. Ikarian energy item, acquire the Spirit Stone. That is a story related achievement. Charge, win your first battle. Speaks for itself, self-explanatory. You just need to win a battle, easy peasy. Growth Spirit, level up for the first time. That's just leveling up. Little Green, win 50 battles. So yeah, 50 battles. Bringing down the Orcs, defeat the Orc King. That is the first boss in the game, I believe, if I remember correctly, for defeating the Orc King. Not really an issue with that one. Swab boss, do a good job swabbing the deck. So, when you get on a boat early on in the game, you end up having to clean the boat, and you need to complete the little mini game as quick as possible. I suggest saving beforehand and reloading if you don't do it. There is a point where that becomes missable, so it's worth saving beforehand. Ghost Egg, find the first mana egg. The first mana egg is on the, you get it as a drop from the boss of the ghost ship anyway. There are 18 altogether that you need to collect. Beneath the Spooky Seas, you sank the ghost ship. That is a story-related achievement. Mum's the word, found the other stowaway. So when you're on the boat, there's a person you have to talk to, and the person's like, I'm also a stowaway. And then once you've finished the ghost ship section, if you say that you're not going to grass up the stowaway, you find him in a barrel when you get to the next port. Speedy delivery, deliver Francois' letter to Clara. So in the first town, when you first start, in one of the houses, there is a person that you talk to called Francois, who has a letter that he wants delivering to someone called Clara. Once you get on the boat and go overseas and get to the next town, the next port, that is where Clara is. You go and give her the letter and you get that achievement. Brutal Slayer, defeat 300 monsters. Self-explanatory, just for killing 300 monsters. Professional on board, become adventurers with Fina. Fina is the second protagonist for the game. She's very much Justin's foil. Quite a lot, often through the game, Fina will say she's got a bad feeling about stuff, which usually signifies that something's about to go wrong, and Justin's completely like oblivious to it. And there is kind of like a romance thing that goes on between the two of them as well. Wrecked in the Ruins, defeat Ganymede. That is story related. Train robbers, you stole a train. That's also story related. Gift of the Gods, find the sacred nectar. Story related. The end is the beginning. Reach the top of the end of the world. That is story related. Warrior Bud, Gadwin has joined the party. This is glitchy, this achievement. Once you get to the point where you have a meal with Gadwin the first time, you have to talk to him and exhaust all of his dialogue for this to pop up. When I did it originally, it didn't pop, and I had to reload and redo a portion of the game again. So definitely, kind of, before you go into the area where Gadwin is, find a save point, save it and whatnot. Savage Slayer, defeat 1,000 monsters. Obvious. Klep Killer, defeat the Klep King. That is story related. Brain Power, acquire the Medal of Wisdom. Story related. Double Tap, defeat the Massacre Machine twice. Story related. Battler, defeat the Gaia Battler. That is story related. Kafu Comrade, become friends with Rap. Rap is another party member that you get throughout the game. He kind of takes Sue's place for the second half of the game, but that is story related as well. Fast as Lightning, defeat the Kung Fu Master. This is one of the extra areas that you can go to that I was talking about before. This one is like a cave system for the Kung Fu Master. He's actually shows up earlier in the game and knocks Justin out. You get to fight him. He's the boss for the area. Pretty easy. Castle Busting, defeat the Lord's Ghost. That's the second of the secret areas. Special areas that you can go to. It's like a castle. Rich Man, collect 250,000 gold. This, I believe, is a cumulative. You don't have to have 250,000 gold on your wall at once. When it unlocked for me, I didn't have 250,000 gold on me, so I assume that it's not. It could have just glitched. Brilliant, acquired the Horn of Knowledge. That is story related. Going down, escape the Grandia and General Baal is story related. Spaced Out, arrived in Elent. That is story related. Slayer of the Seas is the third and final extra area that you can go to. This requires you to get to the top of a tower. It's like a 13 floor tower. Although it's supposed to be 13 floors, you kind of get to a point where it's like the floors are really small anyway. This is a difficult area because all of the monsters in the area are all resistant to your magic. And there's always like 4 or 5 monsters per battle. And it takes forever to get to the top. just because it's like a lot of the floors are interlinked, so you go up to like the third floor on one point, and then there's like teleports down to the second floor, and then you go back up to the third floor, and if you want all the items and stuff from it, you kind of need to go the wrong way, and that took a couple of hours for me to do that tower by itself. As I said, it's a pain, and there's some monsters in there that will, if they use particular magics and stuff, they would just wipe you out straight away. Excellence. Collect all 18 mana eggs. This one I thought I'd missed. I genuinely thought I'd missed it and had to replay the game. I did eventually find the 18th mana egg that I was missing. I used a guide for this to find all the eggs. It was basically a map with all the items on, and I just went and got all of the items every time I went into a new area. So I highly recommend looking up that map. I can't remember what the name of the website was, but it was quite obscure. There was a Steam account that had all of the missable achievements on, and that had a link from there. So I look up missable achievements or trophies for Grandia, and you'll probably find it. Brawny Blade acquired the Spirit Sword is story related. Dreamcatcher defeat Gaia Trent is story related. And finally, the final foe, defeat Gaia, is again story related. So yeah, this was the first time that I played Grandia. I really enjoyed my time playing it. It was well worth. Got a random moth cameo. It was well worth my time playing it. I do want to play Grandia 2 at some point. The only problem is we're now coming into gaming season as of sort of the end of September, and it kind of gets to a point where the amount of time that I've got to spend to play games is kind of limited. So there's stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics coming out, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD, Tales of Xillia Remastered, Octopath Traveler 0, Final Fantasy 7 remakes coming to Xbox, so I want to play that. And that's just like 5 I can think of off the top of my head. That's not including anything else that comes out. We've still got like Tokyo Game Show to come, Game Awards. There's like anything that randomly drops. Like Triangle Strategy dropped like during Gamescom. I've not had a chance to play that yet, so there's plenty of games to play. When I get to Grandia 2, I don't know, but I guess we'll see. As always, if you've got to the end of this ramble, thank you for listening. I've got lots of content coming. I've spent the last week sort of recording a load of stuff, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next one.